Hello and welcome to another Blender bite-sized video. In this one, for you ArchViz fans, I'm going to create a procedural polished granite material in Blender 4. Here's a quick rundown of the spec that I'm using. I'm using Blender 4.2, Windows 11, NVIDIA graphics card, Cycles render engine, and a custom startup file. Just before I continue with the tutorial, let me remind you that you can grab this material and hundreds more on my Gumroad store, blenderbitesize.gumroad.com. Okay, so here's my simple scene. I've got a separate video on how to create this if you'd like to follow along with that. I will leave a link at the top of the video if you're watching on an appropriate device. I'm going to switch over to the shading tab though and enable display render preview. And then with my object selected, I'm going to click on New to assign a new material. That will give us a principled shader and a material output. Now I'm going to go to the base color and set the hex value as 270000. A nice dark color. Drop the roughness all the way down and set the index of refraction at 1.45. Then I'm going to expand the coat and the sheen. We'll come back to those. Next up, we're going to drag out a connector from the weight of the coat and search for a texture coordinate using the object output. Then we're going to add a mapping node in between those, connecting the object output of the texture coordinate to the vector input of the mapping node. I'm then going to add a layer weight node between those two, followed by a math node, which I will set to power, change the exponent to 2, and then I'm going to select all those, align them with shift equals, and then align them again with SY0. That will align the top edges. I'm then also going to use this power output to control the weight of the sheen. Might not make sense at the moment, but it will do in the end. I'm going to add a frame by pressing Shift P, then N to open up this panel, and I'm going to rename that frame as Polished Surface. So this will give me the glossy surface as our main feature. I'll also name the material here now, so that when I save this file and need to append it to something else, I can find it easily. Next up, I'm going to search for an add shader and drop that in after the principled shader. Connect that up to the bottom socket. Then I'm going to get another principled shader and connect it to the top socket of the add shader. Set the roughness to 1, index of refraction to 1.45. And then I'm going to connect a bump node to the normal input. And then to the height input, I'm going to connect a color mix node. And set that to mix. I'm going to turn off clamp factor. And then from the A input socket, I'm going to connect another mix node and set it to mix. Not a lot happening here at the moment, but it will make sense in the end. Again, I'm going to align these. It's not an essential step. I'm just a bit of a neat freak. I'm going to connect the result of the second mix shader into the base colour of the principled shader that we're currently working on. Then I'm going to add a frame and call this pattern. So we've got a polished surface and the start of a pattern. Let's start adding some more nodes to create some more detail. So we'll start with a noise texture. And we'll just isolate that for now to see what's happening. So press Ctrl Shift and click on it. Then we're going to add a color ramp after the noise texture. A mix color node. And a hue saturation value node. We'll add a math node before the noise texture. And we'll add a mapping node and a texture coordinate node to the noise texture. We'll duplicate the math node. And then we'll add a value node in between. Okay, let's start connecting these up. That first math node is going to go into the scale socket of the noise texture. We'll connect the second math node to the first input of the value, and then connect up that value to that second socket in the math node as you saw me do. Then we'll duplicate the value node and plug that into the first socket on the first math node, which will set to multiply and add a value of 1. And then in the value box, set that to 3. And in the second value box, we'll set that to 15. We'll set the noise texture detail to 3, roughness to 0.75, and the distortion to 0.1. On the color ramp, we're going to set it to constant. We'll add another color stop. The first color stop hex value is going to be 6C, 6C, 6C. Second color stop we're going to set as a position of 0.4 and a hex value of 272727. And the last one, position 0.6, hex value BC, BC, BC. So we've got a lot of greys going on there. We'll set the mix to color and a value or factor of 0.85. We'll then increase the saturation in the hue saturation node to 1.1 and the value 1.5. So we've got almost like a camouflage there. Again, I'm just fiddling about aligning things. I should really just focus on the actual meatiness of it. Good grief. Anyway. So we're going to select everything between the value node on the left and our pattern group. No, we're going to select everything. And there we are, going to select just the bits and pieces. And we're going to duplicate those twice. We're going to connect up that value input into the two math nodes that are on the left hand side in the first slot. Then we're going to connect up that first hue saturation value node into the top slot of the mix shader, and the second one into the bottom, and then the third one into the bottom of the second mix shader on the right. Now it all looks the same at the moment because all of the values in all of the nodes on the left are exactly the same. So we need to change a few of the values in order to correct this. Make sure, by the way, all of your texture coordinates have the object output connected to the vector input of the mapping node. On the second one down value node, change that to 20, and the third one down, we'll set that as 25. So now you can see the patterns have varying scales and they kind of overlap each other. On that third math node, we'll set the value to 4 and the second one to 2. Again, it's all about doing the math to create the scale that the noise texture will work with, and then that will run through the color ramp, the mix node, and also the hue saturation node. So we're going to frame the top group and call it color 1, frame the middle group and call it color 2, and I'm pretty sure you can guess what's going to happen next. We'll frame the bottom group and call it color 3. You can add a frame by selecting a group of nodes and pressing Shift P as we did earlier in this video. You can also use the alignment shortcuts as well with frames, but I'm just going to move them around a bit. So much fiddling. Now with color 2, we're going to change the hex value of the third color stop to 959595. And on color 3, the third color stop, a hex value of F2, F2, F2. Just adding a few more variations to that overall pattern. So again, I'm just trying to neaten things up here. Not an essential step. You can have it as messy as you like. And we can see there closely the detail that's going on. So let's quickly render out what we've got so far, and we'll see how that's going. It's looking good. Took around 7 seconds, not bad considering all the nodes and the math that's got to be done. So what I'm going to do though is select everything before the material output, press Ctrl G to create a group. This will allow us to create just a few inputs to control everything in that group of nodes. Press N to open up the panel on the right when you've got the group selected, and name it Polished Granite. Don't forget to name the node group at the bottom as well. So what we'll do is we will go into the group and start adding some group inputs. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is connect the group inputs in place of where that value node was connecting. And we'll delete that. Select the group input, press N to open up the panel on the right. Go to where it says group, double click on value and rename it pattern scale. You can set a default value here. I'm going to set it at 3. Not sure it actually takes effect, but it's always worth having a go. Anyway, pattern scale 3. Go back into the group. then we're going to search for the same way and apply a group input node and connect this blank socket to the second input color of the mix node and call it color 1. In the color 2 group, again add a group input, connect the blank socket into the B socket of the mix shader, call it color 2, and do this again for color 3. You can have as many group inputs as you want. If the socket is reused, it's controlling the same thing in same nodes, it won't add another one, but in this case it will add a fresh one for every new input that's needed, and each of the group inputs will expand to include that. So now we have our group control, and we can set color 1, color 2 and color 3 as well as the pattern scale, which to be honest is all you need. We're going to set the first value to 6C, 6C. Oh no, we're not. Hang on, that's the grey colours from before. I think I remembered. Made a bit of a boob. Colour 1, we're going to do a hex value of C3, B, sound like I'm in Star Wars, CB5. And the second colour, 978C7F. And the last one, 292521. So they're sort of browny greys, which gives us a lovely polished granite colour scheme. And as I've showed you there, if you just change that pattern scale, you can change the overall scaling of the entire pattern. All the math is happening in the background thanks to that node setup that we've just created. So if I go back into the group, you can see here how this is all organized and set up. Let me just make some space and try and make it as big as possible. So before I render out again, let me show you through the render settings that I'm using. I'm actually using quite a low noise threshold, but with low minimum samples. And everything else is here. As you see me scrolling through, you can feel free to pause it if you need to. In the compositing tab, I've got a denoise and a despeckle added. And then when we go to render, all of that will help to speed up a single frame, which means your animated versions will take a lot less. This took around 7 seconds for a single frame. And here's the animated version that I created as a preview for this project. Anyway, I hope you like this one and will use it. If you do, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe for future content and hit the bell icon so you get notified when that's released. In the meantime, thanks for watching and feel free of course to leave questions in the usual places.